All right, I want to get into the anatomy of propaganda, specifically focusing on the Pledge of Allegiance. Obviously, every country has its own version of this, but in America, we refer to it as the Pledge of Allegiance. This is different from the national anthem, which every country has a version of as well. But for those of you who are not from America, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will repeat it for you now, like the monkey I am performing for you in this recording, but I'm going to do it to prove a point. So here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No problem, right? Word for word, perfect. And the crazy part about it is I haven't been forced to recite the Pledge of Allegiance in over 20 years since I left public school. That's the last time I can remember actually sitting in a classroom and repeating the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the power of propaganda. Having children repeat something over and over and over again until it becomes burned into their mind in the way that the Pledge of Allegiance is burned into my mind. I don't think I would be able to forget it if I tried. And remembering what it was like when I would be in a classroom and it would be that time of day where we did the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't remember how often it was, but clearly it was enough to get me and everyone else to memorize it. The ritual of it. You put your hand over your heart, of course, and then you look up at the flag and you repeat those words. Think about that. You're putting your hand over your heart, which is making that subconscious connection to your feelings, your emotion. My hand is over my heart, which is where we are told that love originates from, because it's associated with romance, and you have all those pictures of hearts associated with love. And so you just naturally associate putting your hand over your heart with love and feeling love. And you're doing that as you repeat those words and look up at a piece of fabric. It's the very definition of an artificial ritual. This is how patriotism is created. I mean, one of the many ways that it is created. And as you indoctrinate children with this mentality, you then trigger that patriotism at later points in their life, whatever the case is for that particular generation. For the generation of kids, young adults, and adults, say 80 years ago in the lead up to World War II, that patriotic programming was triggered to say, hey, we need to support all of these people dying because it's for our country. It's for the flag. Insanity, but yet it works. For my generation, it was triggered on 9/11. And then what do we all do? Well, we agree, hey, we need to go to war in the Middle East. And I agree with the passage of the Patriot Act. Yes, we need to be protected. I don't feel safe. Protect our country. You see, that is how it's done. That is brainwashing, literally. And how easy that was. You write these words, you have very, very young children repeat them over and over and over again, staring at the flag as they do so. And over time, this just manifests as patriotism, whether conscious or subconscious. And incidentally, the Pledge of Allegiance in America was written by a Freemason. And we have to ask ourselves questions like, okay, well, there's "In God We Trust" on the back of the dollar bill, and there's under God in this Pledge of Allegiance, but whose God is this exactly that all of this collective energy is being channeled into? What is their definition of God? These are questions that we need to know, right? This is the magic of language and words. It can be infused with so much energy that you are unaware of. The English language, like all languages, is layered in this way. So many different layers of meaning and construction in the alphabet. They're sigils, right? This is like stories that are out there, could be true, might not be true, I don't know. But there are stories out there about various rituals being done to master copies of some of the most famous albums in existence. Rituals where all different types of energy and egregores are channeled into the master copy. And then what happens when everyone listens to that album when it comes out in a sort of mass ritual? Now, obviously, that is something that was from the past because people don't really listen to albums anymore in the same way that they used to with the digitization of music. There are stories of them doing this to films as well, having adepts, quote unquote, on set, channeling intention into the film itself of the master copy. And then the same thing, what kind of energy is being subconsciously infused into people when they watch the film, when they go to the theater and engage in that ritual. Everyone taking it in at the same time. It's no different than the Pledge of Allegiance. If people went to the theater every day or every week and watched the same film over and over again, well, it would become like the Pledge of Allegiance. It would be burned into your mind, and everything that has been infused into it would likewise be burned into your being. Branded into your being. That would be a better way to say it, right? Because this stuff is so similar to advertising and marketing. You are branded with it. I like that. Advertisers do the exact same thing to you with a jingle or a catchphrase, a slogan. I was thinking of the Pledge of Allegiance in school, and I also had this random memory of needing to go buy a suit. I didn't have one. And going to Men's Warehouse. And then I thought about all those old commercials that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Well, I say old commercial. Maybe they're still on air, but I don't watch TV, so I wouldn't know. But the guy who owned the Men's Warehouse comes on the screen and he says, "You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it." And it becomes this kind of joke. And there's also similar commercials that are locally based, and you have local celebrities who are known for those commercials in the same way. But subconsciously in my mind, I had heard that commercial so many times that when it was time to buy a suit, I probably said, well, I'll see what Men's Warehouse has. And then I'm in there buying a suit without even realizing why. And that's how marketing and advertising works. That's why they do it, because they know it works in that way. You see these ads over and over again. You hear the jingles over and over again. It becomes burned into your mind. You're branded with their literal brand in your mind when you're making your decisions. I mean, this is how it works in supermarkets, grocery stores. You're buying a product and you reach for one thinking, oh, I'll try that, not understanding that the advertising has been subtly influencing you to make that choice when you reach for whatever it is, a paper towel or something. For example, they're doing the same thing now with children and the idea of gender fluidity. They are attempting to burn the idea into the minds of children that what gender someone is a choice. And it's no different than selling a Big Mac from Golden Arches and saying ba-da-ba-ba-ba. It's no different than that, what they are doing to a child's mind in this way. I hope you can see that. It's no different than repeating the phrase safe and effective over and over again. And who knows what's being infused into the books and literature and computer programs that are promoting this idea to the children when they read them or when the teacher reads them. This is the type of sorcery that's going on behind the scenes. That's why it works, because people are unaware of it. And I was just as guilty of this. I blindly accepted things when I was younger in this way. And so did my parents, which of course is why I can sit here and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to you. And thinking of that situation made me examine this issue a little deeper, especially as it relates to parents. In certain ways, they are engaging in the same thing that these sorcerers are. They just don't know it. Meaning, imagine a parent who tells their child that they are a piece of crap over and over again in many different ways. They are very mean to the child, and not in some kind of tough love, hey, I'm trying to make you strong sort of way. In a legitimately demoralizing way. They are telling their children, you are not good enough. You always mess everything up. What is wrong with you? I can't stand to be around you. And maybe they have a certain phrase that they always attach to this kind of demoralization. Well, imagine that child experiencing that over and over again. It's no different than having any of these other things burned into their mind. And then whether consciously or subconsciously, that child is going to go through their life thinking that. Like I said, either directly or in the back of their mind subconsciously, it's influencing them to self-sabotage. In all the ways that we can self-sabotage ourselves here. Parents have this same type of power and authority over their children that the alleged governments do over their citizens, and they influence them in the same way. And so, in effect, a parent can mind control their child in the same way that the government can mind control its citizens. And then obviously this got me thinking even deeper about just regular personal relationships or any kind of encounter where you communicate words with someone. Words are powerful, man. Communication is powerful. That's why neurolinguistic programming is powerful, and all the other methods of brainwashing are so effective. They created the language, they know the layers, and so they know how to manipulate it. But we don't think of that when we're having our personal interactions. We're not patient enough. Life moves too fast in the current world that we all exist in. We don't stop to really consider what we are saying. I'm very guilty of this. Sometimes when I have interactions, my mind is moving so fast that it's difficult for me to slow down and really think about what I'm saying. And of course, you have those robotic small talk phrases, again, that are probably infused with so much that I'm not even aware of, that you repeat to people. And that's doing certain similar things. Many people have gone into this before. Just the little things like saying good morning. Morning, like as in mourning a loss. Hello. You can see all these little tiny things have a similar impact. But we don't slow down enough to really focus on what we are saying. And of course, there's a part of this communication process that's outside of our control, where we are moved to say certain things because that's how it's been coordinated, in the sense that that's what needed to happen. That's what must happen. But that's an easy way, if you focus too much on that, to excuse yourself from the responsibility of really focusing on what you say to someone in any given moment. all that'll happen on its own anyway. So you might as well still really be mindful of what it is that you're saying. If I have a random encounter with a stranger, if I say something to them, it is totally outside of my control what they do with that. It's the same thing with a recording like this. Someone could take a little piece of this and it, for whatever reason, because of all the experiences they have had, this one sentence or two sentences is branded onto them. It's burned into their mind, and they repeat it on a loop over and over again, and it becomes a part of their identity. And I didn't intend for that to happen, but that's what happens. And so I hope you see the huge responsibility that I'm referring to here when we interact with each other. You can see why, from this perspective, there is so much fear, anxiety, hate programmed into language all around us, because that's how they want us to interact with each other. Because of this power, because that is so destructive within the context of this power that I'm referring to. It's something that we all take for granted, unless, of course, you have an experience where you lose your voice and then you realize, like everyone else who has an experience similar, oh, wow, I didn't realize how incredible that was until I didn't have it anymore. But bigger than that, oh, wow, this is such a huge responsibility and power, I should really examine how I'm using it. What am I saying to people all around me? How am I affecting them? People are looking for a way to improve the world that they live in. Well, this is the most easy way imaginable. It's right in front of your face. It's coming out of your face. That's it. Later.